On this channel, I've already made a couple of videos discussing Dearborn, Michigan, America's first majority Muslim city. And now it's time we cover a new section up there in the north of America, Minneapolis, Minnesota, where currently, on a mayoral campaign trail, a Somali mayoral candidate is now waving his Somali flag and praising Allah while doing so.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Somalia. Somalia. Hiran State. Ma'awisle. Ma'awisle. Early voting was hadda illa November 4. I need your vote. Wani de bahanahay. Wani de bahanahay. I need you. Hadan udkina hello. We're gonna win.
You can see why once again I feel the need to make a video covering this topic. The mainstream media will likely not be showing you any of this. And upon doing further research into this guy whose name is Omar Fateh, I immediately actually ran into a very interesting problem when I wanted to learn what he stood for and what he was all about, what his policies were. Let me show you this, and while you're listening, see if you can figure out what that problem is.
Alhamdulillah, waxaan ka guuleysanay getting things done like tuition-free college. Waxaan bilaash dhignay waxbarashada sare, getting Uber and Lyft drivers increased wages. Haddana at the city level, we can get those same improvements for our dhalinyaro, for our workers, shaqalaha, people that are whether immigrants or undocumented immigrants, providing them opportunities to start a local business.
In case you didn't guess it, I can't understand a word he's saying except for very key trigger words that he wants me to hear. And why is that? It's because on his campaign trail, he is speaking in foreign languages very, very often, only dropping little nuggets like free college, low rent, and then he goes on to speak whatever he's speaking, right? And he does this a lot. I stumble across several videos where he's doing this, answering questions brazenly and blatantly in his own native tongue, not in English, not retracing his steps, by the way, to then give a translation to it. No, he just, that's it. It's satisfactory to him to answer it in his language and only speaking the keywords and then right back to his native language. Can't understand a word he's saying. Now, thankfully, I was able to pull up some newsreel clips that demonstrate what this man is all about as he runs for the mayor of Minneapolis. I'm going to show you that in a second, and I want to preface it by saying I was also able to pull up quite a few eyebrow-raising issues with this guy beyond him even being a Democrat socialist. And I'm going to cover all of those a little bit later in this video as well. They're very shocking. It'll actually have you asking how this guy is running for mayor in the first place. But before I do that, let's take a look at this newsreel clip. This will give you an idea of who Omar Fateh is, because it turns out him and Zohran Mamdani have a lot in common.
About that. Free lawyers for illegal immigrants, and there's more where that came from. But he's not the only one. Across the country, there are more. Two more examples. In Minneapolis, Omar Fateh is running. He wants to fund non-police programs, keep homeless encampments, and stabilize rent. You hear that a lot from the socialists, and you can understand why. Rents are high.
And so you have Zohran Mamdani running as a socialist in New York City, and now you have Omar Fateh running as a socialist mayor in Minneapolis, and they're both promising sort of the same stuff. Groceries and rent and free commutes to work, if you want to work while living in these cities, that is, because once they're elected, why would you? They're going to hand you everything you need for free or for very cheap. And on top of that, I don't know if you heard, but he's also promising, what is it, free lawyers for immigrants to help resist ICE. That's what's going on right now. That's the current mayoral election in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And once again, similarly to Zohran Mamdani, who openly has stated in the past that he wants to reform New York City more into the image of Islam, well, Omar Fateh has also pledged something similar to his people while on this campaign trail. He openly states how he wants to infiltrate America's government purely for the benefit of Somalia and the Somalis.
Investing in increasing affordable housing and not gentrifying our neighborhoods. These are all things that are causing harm to our community because of this idea that there isn't money, when in reality, we do have this money to spend on this. It's just that we're choosing not to. It's not a value of ours. So right now, we're blessed to have 3 Somali elected officials at the Capitol. Me, Sister Hodan Hassan, who's in the State House, and Brother Mahmoud Noor. And we work very closely together. And we carry each other's bills. So the way it works is, if there's a bill in the House, it needs an identical bill to be carried in the Senate. for it to be negotiated and to pass in the committees and then go on for the floor session and then go on to the governor's signature. So we're able to pass our bills back and forth that'll help benefit our communities.
And so he's not running under America First. Of course, he's just running under whatever benefits his people and his country. Why would you expect anything less? I just showed you a clip of the man waving his own flag on the campaign trail. He doesn't care about the American flag. He can't even be bothered to answer questions in English, except for providing those key trigger words for stupid white people who are going to vote for him, right? And so it only makes sense. But here's the eyebrow-raising facts that I've dug up about Omar Fateh here. Starting with this one, this is just ripped right off of Wikipedia, but he wasn't even born in Minneapolis, and he only kind of recently moved to Minneapolis. He was originally from Virginia. You can see here, Fateh was born in Washington, D.C. to immigrant parents from Somalia. He graduated from Falls Church High School and earned undergraduate and graduate degrees from George Mason University. Fateh spent summer breaks in Minneapolis as a child. After an unsuccessful 2015 run for a seat on the Fairfax County, Virginia School Board in Northern Virginia, Fateh moved to Minneapolis, where he held a nonpartisan job with the city in voter outreach before working for the state of Minnesota. Now, why do you suppose this man moved to Minneapolis, Minnesota? What's going on in that northern Great Lakes region of America currently? I've made videos on it. There's a reason. It's all strategy. It's all location-based too, it seems. And I implore you to do some of your own independent research on that as well, because the statistics and the facts are alarming. And here's another eyebrow raiser. This one's massive. This is Omar Fateh giving praise to one of his supporters he's bragging about being a part of. And this is an organization that was known as Feeding Our Future. You will hear him give them a shout out right here. And I'm going to explain why that's actually a devastating scandal for him that, for some reason, not many people are looking into.
My name is Omar Fateh. I'm the state senator for District 62, which is in South Minneapolis. I want to thank first all of you for sticking together, for working together, for fighting. I want to thank our organizers, Mahad, Ikram, other folks that helped lead this fight. And I want to thank also Amy and her team, Feeding Our Future.
There it is, thanking Amy and her team, Feeding Our Future, something that he was very proud to be an active part of while he was giving thanks here during this speech. What's the problem with that exactly? Well, it's an organization, as it turns out, that wound up being involved in a ridiculously scummy pandemic fraud scheme. Back in March, they were actually found guilty by a federal jury. Feeding Our Future mastermind and co-defendant was found guilty in a $250 million pandemic fraud scheme back in March 19th of this year. Now, of course, as soon as that happened, I think what wound up happening was Omar Fateh wound up basically saying, well, I wasn't involved in it in that capacity, and he disavowed himself from it. But nevertheless, that's one scandal. There's actually another one that's even bigger than that I found. And this is the type of scandal that I've come to expect out of Democrats. It's also the type of scandal that will actually enrage you when you hear about it and will have you asking a very simple question in all honesty. Why is he allowed to still run after this? Because it turns out Omar Fateh, while holding power, was trying to propose all kinds of legislation and acts to start directing taxpayer funds into an NGO that provided affordable housing. The problem? He didn't disclose the fact that that NGO, that company, was owned by his own wife. He just left that part out.
We did discover something raising what a legal expert labels serious ethical concerns. Senator Omar Fateh's wife was a listed owner of a housing stabilization company, even as the senator and current Minneapolis mayoral candidate himself was pushing legislation to fast-track client approvals for the taxpayer-funded program.
Senator Fateh, Senate File 2741.
A bill that will address a critical delay in access to housing stabilization services, also known as HSS.
It's March 24th, 2025, and Senator Omar Fateh is the sole author of a bill he says will speed up access for people to be approved for HSS. What was not known at the time was that Senator Fateh had an undisclosed tie to the HSS industry.
Does this raise any red flags? It raises lots of red flags.
Political science professor David Schultz has taught ethics for 25 years. He says what raises red flags is that Senator Fateh's wife, Keltoum Mohammed, was a founder and owner of Community Development Services, LLC. an HSS company.
This is a situation where I think almost anybody schooled in, government ethics 101 would know that you can't introduce legislation that benefits yourself.
Just 4 days after Carol Levin's investigation exposed allegations of widespread fraud in the HSS program, this record, listing the senator's wife as a current owner of Community Development Services, LLC, was filed with DHS.
Here's an even better part. The conclusion to this story is Omar Fateh's wife's affordable housing NGO company wound up actually just shutting down entirely, literally due to rampant fraud. And yet here this guy is running for mayor of Minneapolis without a problem. He should be investigated for this. I don't understand how Republicans continuously drop the ball when it comes to justice, when it comes to investigating criminal. I mean, this is like a criminal act, basically. And this guy is here running as a mayor, posing a massive threat for obvious reasons to America, in my opinion, at least. And nothing's being done about it other than the fact that it's just people standing by and watching and going, well, I sure hope they don't vote him in, because that worked out so well for Dearborn, Michigan. This is a problem. And if people aren't rising up to challenge this, if people aren't rising up to speak out against what's going on right now, it's going to continue to grow. That's a promise. You should by now see what's happening. But in case you don't see what's happening, here's the fourth and final eyebrow raiser when it comes to Omar Fateh and his personal outlook on America, on its citizens, on what he wants to do when he obtains office. This is one of his most shocking and disturbing viewpoints.
We heard them being called terrorists. We heard them being called drug dealers. We heard a lot of insults. We heard that they're a threat to our national security. And that's a flat-out lie. You want to know who the real threat is, Madam President? I'll give you a hint. They don't look like our chief author. They don't look like the folks up in the gallery. They don't look like the folks out in the rotunda. They look like many of the members that sit in the front. And you don't have to take my word for it. According to DHS, Madam President, the greatest domestic threat facing the United States comes from, quote, racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, specifically those who advocate for the superiority of the white race, not our immigrants. We are safer and we're better off because of them.
Let me summarize that for you in case you're still not understanding it. You white Republicans are a danger to America. You're a danger to my mission as a Somali, and I am running to ensure that I can do something about it once I obtain power. That's the summary of that speech right there, just so we're clear, just so there's an understanding there. Who does that remind you of, by the way? Well, for me, I instantly thought about this moment right here with Ilhan Omar, where she brazenly said that white people should be put on a watch list.
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
So it should come as no surprise to you, of course, since their values are clearly aligned, and I actually think they're from pretty much the same region, that she openly endorses Omar Fateh for mayor of Minneapolis. She does so with a smile here, very proudly. These two are just so united. Isn't it beautiful?
Well, I'm excited to announce that I will be supporting Senator Fateh for the mayor of the city of Minneapolis.
Our Congresswoman, who I'm really excited to have her support.
And with that, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar put her stamp of approval on a grateful state Senator Omar Fateh, who envisions a city that is more equal.
Minneapolis seems to be a tale of two cities, one for the wealthy and the well-connected, and the rest of everyone else.
The Congresswoman believes the 35-year-old senator, a Democratic socialist, can lead with a progressive agenda.
I have trust in the senator's track record that he will find a way to make sure that we have ordinances, legislation that is passing through that speaks to the desires and the needs of the residents of the city.
Fateh's run has not been entirely smooth. He is being accused of campaign violations for continuing to use the term DFL endorsed on his campaign signs. The state DFL rescinded the endorsement after convention irregularities surfaced and declined to make an endorsement of anyone else. Fateh says he is benefiting from a backlash.
So she endorses him, and he's full of scandals and openly says, basically, I love the scandals. It gives me free attention. The weak-ass Republicans will do absolutely nothing to stop me. They will bitch and moan all over social media and on the news, but at the end of the day, they won't do a single thing to stop me for running for mayor. So every bad scandal only helps my push to become mayor of Minneapolis. And you know something? He's 100% correct. He's capitalizing off of the current weak generation of Republicans who are in charge. But I've got news for him. Someone sitting here as a younger guy who's a conservative and aware of just how many other younger conservatives just like me are out there. He better enjoy these moments while he can. These moments of being able to capitalize off of weak, old conservative leadership. Because when people my age who are conservative take the mantle, these kind of things won't be allowed. This kind of behavior won't be tolerated. I am America first. I hope if you're a viewer, you're America first too. I live in this country and I want what's best for everyone living in this country. And I want what's best for America overall. I don't like seeing Somali flags being waved on a American mayoral campaign trail. And I also don't take too kindly to being told that because I'm a white conservative that I belong on a watch list. If you agree with me on that, be sure to subscribe right now to American Advocates for more content like this. I want to also point something else out here when it comes to Omar Fateh. Once he obtains power, what is his plan? What does he want to do as the mayor of Minneapolis? Let me show you what his main focus is.
Day one, if you were elected, what would be some of your top 2-3 priorities for the city?
So that's a very good question. So the first I would say would be a hostile federal government with not only Donald Trump in office, but he has essentially a trifecta, both chambers of Congress and the Supreme Court. And a lot of our neighbors, especially our undocumented residents, are very concerned.
That's right. Surprise, surprise. When he holds power and obtains office, when he becomes mayor, he wants to spend his days fighting federal government and, most importantly, fighting President Donald Trump on everything he does, especially on immigration, using the terms that liberals love, like undocumented migrants. Essentially, he wants to protect illegal immigrants who live in his city when he becomes mayor there. That will be his focal point, besides, of course, enriching the lives of his fellow Somalis, which he is the most concerned about. This is truly an America Last politician. Now, what's his competition look like on this campaign trail? Let me show you. This is the current mayor of Minneapolis, Mayor Frey, on the campaign trail. Can we derive any hope from what we're about to see here from this Democrat mayor who currently holds office and is fighting to maintain that power? An American? Well, let's take a look. This is what he's doing, and I'll explain to you what he's doing after this. All right, I probably had to cut in and out for the music there for copyright purposes, but let me explain to you something, what that was. First of all, notice all the flags there? This isn't America. I just want to point that out. Let me highlight that though. Let's see, what flags are those? That doesn't look like an American flag to me at all. But what he's doing is he's not just dancing like an absolute moron. He's doing a Somalian cultural dance that he bothered to learn because he feels, at this point in time, with the shape of Minneapolis currently being what it's in, that he needs to capitulate and surrender to the Somalis and appeal to their votes. This is what American politics is starting to shape up and look like, depending on what part of America you're currently living in. This is why we need a massive immigration reform, because places like Minneapolis and New York City are very likely doomed.